I'm Sam from Cultaholic Wrestling, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at the show segment by segment and award each little bit of grade from A+ to F. Now, this is my first SmackDown grades for 2021, and Christ, a lot has happened over Christmas. So we've had Biggie win the IC title, Sonya Deville's back, Roman and Owens and Jay and a cage match, and then Jay versus Owens, and then handcuffed to the ropes, and then Owens just getting launched off a massive high bit of staging last week. And then this week we've got a gauntlet match. We've got a bloody gauntlet match. So without any further ado, let's crack on with it. Hit the intro. So we kick things off with Roman Reigns coming down to the ring with Heyman and Uso. And as I said there in the intro, last week there was a match between Jay and Owens. It ended with Owens just mercilessly beating Jay down. It all culminated with Roman coming out. They attacked Owens. It all sort of fought up into the stage area. But yeah, like Roman comes up, saves Jay, and then like Owens is dumped off this huge bit of staging through a massive side bit of all of the production equipment. Now Roman says that he didn't really want to do what he did last week because now Kevin Owens can't provide for his family. This is what happens when, people are put into positions where they shouldn't really be. He says that he really does care about Owens and he cares about every single person on the roster, but there is one person he wants to talk to, and it's the person he blames for all of this. It's Adam Pearce. So he demands Pearce come out, and Heyman is gold here. Heyman turns to commentary when there's just no response from the stage area. Heyman turns to commentary and he's like, Pearce, now, get out here. Tell him, Graves. And just telling him off like a school child until Pearce begrudgingly walks down the ramp. So Roman plays a recap of what's been happening recently. As I said, there was a cage match between the pair, and then we get the recap of the attack last week. Roman then demands an apology of Pearce. He accuses him of cronyism. He accuses him of not caring about Owens, somebody that he's known for a great deal of his life, Pearce, because, they came from the same sort of background. Roman insinuates that Pearce is going to somehow try and insert himself into the picture before furiously exploding with anger at him. He's like, I've carried this company for years, and he's getting right up in Pearce's face. He starts asking Pearce, do you think I'm a fool? Do you think I'm stupid? And then he grabs him by the collar until Heyman talks him down. Roman lets go of him, laughs it off, and he's like, you're safe, don't worry about it. It was just a mistake. You're safe for now. I'm going to give this an A. It was just beautiful. The way Roman just openly exploded at Pearce, all of those frustrations from everything that's been happening with Owens, and now he feels that Pearce is against him. He didn't have that sort of cool, calm demeanor that we've come to expect from heel Roman. He literally, the mask came away for a split second there. You can see that Roman thinks that Pearce has got some sort of agenda against him, and personally, I'd like for them to actually build toward a match between Pearce and Roman. It sort of mirrors the same sort of storyline we had with Mike Kanellis and Drake Maverick on 205 Live. They had a great build with Mike just pushing Drake and pushing Drake and pushing Drake until Drake snapped, and then Mike tried to, cost him his job, and it led to a match. It was one of the better storylines in my time covering 205 Live, and I think that this could be something similar. Next up, we go to our first match of the night, and it's Biggie versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. So Crews explodes out of the blocks here. He immediately drops Biggie, immediately goes for the pin, and he's just on him. Biggie hits a splash out on the apron, but it doesn't really matter because back in the ring, Crews takes him to task with just a series of beefy suplexes. He even manages to hit a moonsault off the apron before he hits a massive superplex on Big E, and when he lands, he sort of hooks the leg on landing in order to make the pin, but Big E shifts his weight, and the pin, while it gets to 3, is ruled a double pin, so the match is a draw. Crews thinks he's won, and as Big E's handed his title back, things start to get a little bit heated between the pair. Crews eventually slaps Big E, and he's like, come on, let's go again, restart the match, and Big E accepts. Crews keeps him on his toes, but ultimately you know where this one's going. Big E fires up, hits the big ending, and picks up the win. Love the story here. I love Crews getting some showcase time. He got to show off his skills, and it's sort of, I guess, a gentle reminder to anybody that's sleeping on Crews that he is able to go. The way he was just manhandling Big E was impressive. We then go backstage, and Adam Pearce is on the phone. He's clearly a bit confused as to what's happened there in the opening segment when Sonya Deville pops up next to him. Sonya says that it's been a crazy year to say the least, but not so convinced convincingly suggests that Mandy, Otis, and Ziggler and all of that picture is behind her. She then says to Pearce, hey, I hear that you've popped yourself in that Gauntlet match later tonight, and Pearce denies it. He's like, no, absolutely not. I've not wrestled in 6 years. That's not happening. Go on, please, please. Please, go on. We then go to Bianca Belair, who's about to do an interview about her entering the Rumble when she's immediately cut off. Just as the interviewer throws to her, she's immediately cut off by Bayley, who pops in. And Bayley declares that she's also entering the Rumble. She runs Belair down. But then when Belair fires back with, it would have been an honor to have gone on and faced you, as champion, but unfortunately, you ain't champ anymore. Bayley doesn't really know how to respond to that, and Bianca just walks off laughing. We then go to a quick promo from Carmella where she essentially runs Sasha Banks down a bit more, says that she has no talent, makes fun of her for winning the Sports Illustrated WWE Superstar of the Year thing, says that she only got that because Carmella was off all year, that type of thing. And next up, we go to the Street Profits versus Rugler, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. I'm going to make Rugler a thing. Let's make Rugler a thing. Hashtag Rugler. But just a little bit of backstory here before we get into this one. The Profits were attacked by Roode and Ziggler last week, and Ford appeared to have tweaked his knee. So it's a bit up in the air as to what sort of condition he's in heading into the match here. I should also add, by the way, Jesus Christ, this is a match for the tag team titles. The match starts with Dawkins and Ziggler just going back and forth, and then when Ford gets in, he's able to bring the offense, but he tweaks his knee on a landing, and the heels, just smelling blood in the water, encircle him. He does bring the fight back to Roode though, pushing him into the corner, but Roode just kicks him straight in the knee. And again, he's not in the best condition. He also goes for a dive to the outside, and this proves to ultimately be the undoing of Ford in this match, because obviously he's diving from the ring to the floor. He's got a sore knee, and I don't think he thought it through because his knee just goes bye-bye. Dawkins then has to carry the load. All Ford can do, he's barely able to stand. He's just stood on the outside watching the heels slowly start to capitalize on his tired partner. Roode even gets a cheap shot in on the outside, and then when Dawkins does manage to fight back all the way to Ford, and he's been clawing the entire time and just getting pulled back and clawing and getting pulled back, when he finally gets there, Roode pulls Ford off the apron. When Ford does get in, he's able to sort of clean house as best he can. He gets up into a top rope position, fights off Roode, and then goes to Ziggler, but Ziggler catches him into like a giant sit-out facebuster off the top rope, and Ford is again in a bad position. Ziggler goes for a super kick only to get caught by one from Ford, and then there's a little bit more back and forth. Dawkins jumps in to save Ford from Roode. As Ford then starts to hulk up, it looks like he's in a good position until he's caught into that zigzag spinebuster combo from the heels there, and yeah, Roode and Ziggler are the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. This one gets a B+. It was exciting enough in the ring in terms of the action. You had a lot of storyline going on as well, and I think the storyline's what really pipped it for me. Ford is just the ultimate underdog in this one, like the absolute ultimate underdog. You can't help but want him to win, no matter what. Like, he just fights on so valiantly after knackering his knee, and you're just watching him get mercilessly beat down, and then he'll hulk up, and then he'll get beat down, then he'll hulk up, then he'll get beat down, and it was just really, really well paced. To be honest, I was expecting the Street Profits to retain here via some sort of fluke win, but this only adds some spice to the mix with the heels now controlling the titles. We then go backstage again to Pearce and Deville, who are still just stood around talking when up pops Paul Heyman. And Heyman's like, you know what, Adam, I respect you, I really do. And he talks about how they have similar backgrounds, they both came from the wider world of wrestling. And Heyman's like, what would it have been like if Paul Lee, had managed you back in the day? And there's just a little bit of back and forth there. Heyman's like, look, I know how good you were in the ring, and so I had to pull some strings. And Pearce is like, what? He's like, I had to pull some strings for tonight's main event, for that Gauntlet match. You're going to be in it. He then pats him on the back and says he's proud of him and walks off. And oh my God, we're getting Pearce. We're getting Pearce in a match tonight. It's going to be class. We then go to the Riot Squad backstage, who are just stood about minding their own business when up pops Billie Kay. Now, Billie was sort of in and around the Riot Squad last week, and she's sort of, how she just inserts herself into things. She's sort of done that, but with these two. So she pops up and she's like, hey guys. She tells them that she wants in on the Riot Squad. She wants it to be a three-piece again, and they say no. And when they say no, she just bursts into tears, and she's like, but Tamina doesn't want me, and nobody wants me, and nobody's giving me any opportunities. And then Liv tries to say like, well, no, it's not like that. And then she immediately snaps out of the tears and she's like, great, I've been listening to Blink 182. I'm a mosh pitting expert. That's now on my CV. And then she hands over the CV and she's like, I've got so many ideas, and she just walks off as the Riot Squad are sat there like, what? But next up, it is time for our very long main event match of this evening, the 6-man gauntlet match to determine the #1 contender for Roman Reigns' Universal Championship. So the opening draw is Rey Mysterio against Sami Zayn, and Rey comes down, no bother, then Sami pops up, and Sami's got a microphone in hand, and he's been followed by a little camera crew. Sami says that when he asked for this opportunity, he knew they were going to screw him somehow, and they put him in right at the very start, and it's a conspiracy, I tell you, it's a massive conspiracy, but doesn't matter because I've got my own camera crew here, and they're going to be recording everything, and they're going to make sure that, you all know the truth. He promises that they're going to make a little documentary that proves that he's still the rightful champion, gets in the ring, is immediately 619, is immediately splashed, and sent packing. Rey advances. Next up for Rey is Shinsuke Nakamura, and let me just tell you, Shinsuke Nakamura is the man of the hour after this gauntlet match, and we're going to find out why now. So Nakamura just explodes straight into strong style, just bringing it straight to Rey. Rey sends him packing to the floor, goes through to do that sort of slide thing he does, only for Nakamura to somehow roll him through and then knee him right in the face. Nakamura then continues to just grind on Rey. He goes up top but gets caught and dropped by Rey, and then he gets 619 and splashed, except the splash doesn't quite connect because Nakamura catches him into an armbar and Rey very quickly taps. Nakamura advances. So as Nakamura's music's playing to celebrate him winning this phase of the match, out comes Corbin. He gets the immediate jump on Dominic, beats him down. I think he dumps Nakamura to the outside and then just starts attacking Rey. Poor, confused, emotional Corbin. It's not Rey you need to face here. But when we come back from an ad break, he's just wiping the floor with Nakamura. He's beating him down, drives him into the corner, and he's just going shot, 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 drives him into the next corner, goes for the same thing, but Nakamura is able to sidestep as Corbin goes for like a corner charge, and he just drives himself straight into the ring post. On the outside, Corbin catches Nakamura on a diving knee attempt, drives him into the ring post, and then back in the ring, he still can't put Nakamura away, so he starts really laying in those strikes and proper wrenching his pins right back. He looks like he's getting frustrated. Nakamura hulks up, goes for the Kinshasa. Corbin catches the Kinshasa into a deep 6, but still no pin. There's a triangle from Nakamura and Corbin just deadlifts him and drops him. Corbin's then sent to the outside, sort of jumps out one side of the corner, turns immediately back round, runs back into the ring, slides in, stands up. Nakamura kicks him in the head. 1, 2, 3. Next up, we have Nakamura versus Daniel Bryan, and oh my god, here we go. This is just, whoa, I need this to just be the big thing moving forward. And if you're not going to watch SmackDown, you need to watch at least this bit of this match, please, just please. So Nakamura is pretty tired by this point. An immediate running knee from Bryan just sends him packing straight to the floor. Bryan hits a dive that sends Nakamura crashing into the announce table, and then back in the ring, he comes off the top rope, only for Nakamura to catch him short and then begin setting to work. Bryan does get a half crab off a Kinshasa attempt, just rolls it straight through, and there is a brutal, absolutely brutal, almost like snap bridging German suplex with Nakamura landing pretty high on those shoulders. Bryan starts on the yes kicks, he comes off the ropes and gets caught into an armbar, but it's Daniel bloody Bryan. He just rolls straight through into an armbar of his own. He then transitions that armbar into a yes lock, and Nakamura has to fight very, very hard to get the break on this one. The pair go back and forth a little bit more, and Bryan just starts boxing Nakamura into the corner. He hits one corner kick, goes for the second, but Nakamura is able to catch him with a high knee and pick up the 3. Just absolute woof. What a match. That was just, if you can just take all of the energy of that and just stretch it out, give it an extra 10-15 minutes, that would have been, Post-bell, Bryan stands him up and, goes for a handshake, but then Roman Reigns' music hits and out comes Roman, Jay, and Heyman. And they just kind of awkwardly stand on the ramp until Adam Pearce emerges behind them. Pearce starts walking down the ramp and they follow him down. So finally, the last entrant into the gauntlet match is Adam Pearce, WWE on-screen personality and, dog's body kind of for Vince McMahon. The guy that gets stuff done. The guy that gets stuff done backstage. He's the one that sorts matches and gets all the contracts signed. Used to be a hell of a wrestler. Used to be an NWA champion. Multiple time NWA champion. But now those days are behind him. He's got an office job. Before he gets into the ring, Uso jumps in and just immediately attacks Nakamura. Starts beating him down. Roman jumps in, does the same. And then they let Pearce get into the ring. They sort of look at Pearce, look at Nakamura, and it's like, go on man, pin him, and they won't. And so they drop Pearce, and now they've just got a double down in the middle of the ring, and Roman's like, go on Jay, and he pulls Pearce on top of Nakamura, and then they intimidate the referee into counting the 3. And Adam Pearce is the #1 contender for the WWE Universal Championship. This gets a bloody A+. What a main event this Gauntlet was. It had a bit of everything to it. A bit of drama, a bit of work rate, just back and forth. The pace was immaculate in places and drawn out where it needed to be. Nakamura coming out of this looking stronger than he has done since he arrived on the main roster, potentially. We just gotta hope they nurture that. We've gotta really hope they nurture that with Nakamura so we can move forward within a more suitable position for a man of his historical importance in the world of modern wrestling. I love the idea of Pearce and Roman. As I said, it's like shades of that Kanellis Maverick 205 Live storyline. And Zayn just, how is he going to keep it fresh? How is he going to keep it fresh? That's all I ever keep saying. And then he just keeps it fresh. And now he's got a camera crew who are just following him around, making a documentary that's going to prove, that he's still definitively champ. And they were shooting him on a red camera, by the way, which is, a really nice high-end film camera. So potentially, that's the type of thing they shoot their documentaries on. So potentially this footage could appear in a Sami Zayn documentary down the line, maybe, if they were indeed rolling at all. But ultimately, please, just, if we can get one thing out of this, and I'm sort of torn over the whole which one it would be. If we can get one thing, it's either going to be Pearce versus Roman, or it's going to be a full amazing program with Nakamura and Bryan. But I think it probably has to be the latter there that will be of the most importance. But in terms of a grade for SmackDown this week, it's getting an A. It was a strong show from top to bottom, and oh, what a way to start the year. I know this isn't their start of the year. This is my start of the year, I guess. What a way for me to start the year watching SmackDown. The momentum is already ramped back up. This is just a perfect example of everything modern SmackDown has been in recent months, and hopefully they can keep it going. They need to nurture it, though, and they can't really let it, run too far ahead of itself. They can't start cramming too much in. They can just sort of pepper these shows in every few weeks because the usual SmackDown format is pretty good anyway. But yeah, the highlight of tonight's got to be that Gauntlet match and Nakamura's performance throughout. I think I'm definitely going to go back and watch that a few times later. But what did you guys think of this week's SmackDown? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I've been Sam from Cultaholic Wrestling. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.